Welcome back. Welcome back. This is the second installment of the FanWire Podcast today. I want to thank everybody for tuning back in because we're getting ready to break down another prospect that has a future or could have a future in the WNBA. So you need to know what it's all about. And we're going to get into it and what it could mean to the Washington Mystics. Okay. So we're talking about a player who quietly has built one of the most productive front court resumes in college basketball. We're talking about the 6'3" forward out of Michigan State, the Spartans, Grace VanSlooten. She's a 6'3" physical inside scorer. She's a tough rebounder, and she's another player that has a good feel for passing the ball, especially when she's in the paint and she's getting double teamed. Now, she went from being an instant impact player as a freshman at Oregon to a battle-tested forward at Michigan State. But there's some big questions. Is Grace VanSlooten actually a real WNBA prospect in 2026? That's a good question. And more importantly, for this channel, will she make sense for the Washington Mystics? Let's break it all the way down. I hope you're ready, because guess what? We're about to get into it. Okay, so again, Grace VanSlooten is a 6'3" forward that began her college career at Oregon University before transferring to Michigan State. All these players are transfers. But hey, I guess that's the benefit of having this transfer portal. Okay, so back to her game. Her game is a power forward / combo forward. So when it comes to having a stretch four, that's her pure game. She's not a lob threat. She's not gifted vertically, but she plays with a lot of heart and toughness. She's a player who wins with interior scoring touch, has face-up ability, again, a physical player that rebounds well. And early in her career, she looked like a talented young scorer and rebounder. Now, she looks more like a polished, experienced forward who can carry offense in stretches. Make sure that's clear. In stretches. And give a steady production against major competition. Again, that matters because you're talking about a player trying to make it in the WNBA. Production alone is not enough. You need a game that translates. You need a game that fits into an offense or into a defense. It's about how you fit into the structure. And with VanSlooten, the translation, the question is where the conversation really begins to get interesting. Okay, so let's dig deeper into her college career. So again, as a freshman, she was at Oregon. And when VanSlooten stepped into college, she stepped on the floor. And again, she made an immediate impact. She averaged 13 points per game, over 5 rebounds a game, and almost 2 assists per game, while shooting 46.5% from the field. She started 30 of 32 games. So she was definitely reliable and available from the very beginning. And that's a major statement coming from a freshman forward in a power conference. She earned all Pac-12 honorable mention. She was on the Pac-12 all-freshman team. And during the entire season, 4 times, VanSlooten was the Pac-12 Freshman of the Week. You know how we like players that stack the accolades. She's checking the accolade box. Okay. Now, with all that being said, Grace VanSlooten even grabbed Pac-12 Player of the Week honors. Not just the freshman, but she was with the big dogs in the conference. Okay. One of her highlight games during that stretch of time was a game against Ohio State. She dropped 29 buckets. You heard me right. The message is clear. Grace VanSlooten was not just a developmental bench project. She was ready to score immediately. And that's for a freshman big or forward putting up 13 plus efficiently. She showed that real polish, especially in the paint and in the mid-post areas. She looked well advanced for her age. Well advanced for a freshman. Now, let's talk about the sophomore season at Oregon. Okay, so we got to year 2. This is where her role expanded. She became Oregon's featured front court scorer and the primary option. She was averaging 15 points a game, 7 rebounds, a little over 2.5 assists, a little bit over 1 steal a game. She led Oregon in scoring, earned all Pac-12 honorable mention again, scored in double figures in 27 of 31 games, and had a season high against Utah Tech. Utah Tech, okay, but okay. It's still important. It was a developmental year. It's still important. Okay, so it's safe to say that VanSlooten was more than just a freshman that showed talent and had a good year. Now she can show the volume. She can be the focal point of her team. She can score, rebound, and pass a little. Yeah. So with that being said, the assist growth matters. It matters. It suggested that she was becoming a more than just a bucket getting forward. She was becoming a more well-rounded player. She was beginning to show signs of being an offensive hub in spots. Not a point forward, but a player who can keep action flowing and make simple reads. WNBA teams need this type of player, especially coming off of the bench. Remember that. Okay, so as a junior at Michigan State, that's where her transfer portal took her to. And whenever a player changes conferences and teams, there's always a question, especially when you're elevating in conferences to tougher competition. The question that follows is always, can the production travel as well? In VanSlooten's case, the answer was yes. Remember that. She averaged 15.5 points a game, a little over 7 rebounds, while shooting 52% from the field. And again, this is against better competition in the Big Ten. That junior season may have been one of her most important seasons of her career. And why do I say that? It's because her efficiency jumped and she earned more accolades. We're talking about the All Big Ten second team, Academic Big Ten, and CSC Academic All District. She's a smart ball player. You need smart ball players. Okay. So VanSlooten also led Michigan State in scoring and had another breakout scoring game, but against better competition. We're talking 29 points against USC. And in that junior season, it told all of the evaluators there was something valuable when it comes to VanSlooten. So again, Grace wasn't just putting up numbers in one system. She proved that she could move to a new environment, a new conference, a new style with new teammates and still be productive. Still be efficient. And still show that she could be the front court centerpiece. Yeah. That makes her resume even stronger. But now, even with all that being said, we still haven't even got to the senior season. So in the senior season, which is now at Michigan State, Grace VanSlooten showed that she was able to become steady, proven, and reliable. Again, she's still averaging 15 points a game. A little bit shy on the rebounds with about 6, almost 7 rebounds, while shooting 49, close to 50% from the field, while starting all 30 games. She's dependable, she's reliable, and she's available. And she got more accolades. So from the very beginning of the season, she was on the preseason All Big Ten team. And she was on the watch list to get the Naismith Trophy. VanSlooten also helped Team USA win a gold in the 2025 FIBA Women's America Cup. So she's able to produce on various different stages. That's good to know. And to add another layer to the profile, because we're not just talking about being productive as a college forward. We're talking about a veteran player here with power conference experience, big minute experience, offensive responsibility, and some international value to add to the resume. She looks good on paper. And that matters because teams are filling out camps and they're trying to fill out rosters with players that are mature enough to compete for real minutes. And VanSlooten looks like she can be one of those types of players. So if you sum up Grace VanSlooten's entire college career in one sentence, it will be this. She went from an instant impact freshman scorer at Oregon to a battle-tested, efficient, high-usage veteran forward at Michigan State. I think that sounds pretty good. What y'all think? And, again, that's a good place to start a real draft conversation because we having one right here, right now. Do this for me. Take this one quick second. Like the video, like the video, like the video. It helps us get the Washington Mystic news and information out to the fans. Help me help get the word out. And subscribe to the channel. We appreciate you so much. Turn on the notifications. All right, so here we go. Let's get back to it. So, with all that being said, no matter what happens on draft night, VanSlooten is a player that came out of nowhere. She put in real work. It's documented on film. It's over multiple years. So, again, she got good tape and a good resume. Yeah. Now, let's talk about the strengths. Let's talk about what Julie VanSlooten does well. She's an efficient interior scorer. So she is able to score from the interior, and that's the foundation of her game. VanSlooten knows how to score, again, inside of the arc. She's comfortable when it comes to paint touches, face-ups, mid-post actions, and physical finishes. She seeks out contact, and she delivers the contact herself. So she doesn't need to live on jumpers to be productive. She knows how to use her frame, angles, and touch. So, again, VanSlooten is a strong prospect, literally, that's going to be available in the draft. Again, she's 6'3". She's a legit 6'3". That's legit forward size. She's undersized. She's not undersized for college as a 4. And she plays with the kind of physicality and presence that gives her a chance to compete on the glass and through contact. Let's talk about her rebounding. She consistently has been a real rebounder throughout her career. That matters, especially at the WNBA level. Teams are always looking for value players that can help finish possessions, rebound. Her passing feel is not elite, it's not high level for a player of her size and her position, but she's growing into that. And with that being said, she has some elements of being a connective skill player. So it gives her a little bit more value than just a pure interior scorer who stops the ball. And in her experience, let's talk about that. She's a grown woman when it comes to college players. She's played in major conferences, handled offensive responsibilities, transferred successfully, and stayed productive through it all. That's useful. That's useful for teams looking for a mature competitor to compete in training camp. Now, these are some areas to watch. She's not a proven perimeter shooter, and that can be a big issue. These are some of the cons. And when it comes to the WNBA and the modern offenses that these teams use, a frontcourt player is often needed to do one of these things or to have one of these things. That's elite size, elite defense, real spacing, or to be special offensively when it comes to creation. VanSlooten's game is productive, but she's not currently known as a high-level stretch 4 spacer. She's more of a front court scorer than a true floor spacing hybrid. So pretty much she's more of a traditional forward instead of a modern mismatch type of weapon. Now, her archetype is this. Prospects like to see, what they can squeeze out of players. It's not clear if VanSlooten is going to be a center or a stretch 4. She's definitely not going to be a defender that can match up against WNBA wings. So the margin of error gets a little small. That doesn't mean that she can't make it. It just means her fit has to be just right. So let's talk about the range and where Grace VanSlooten may be selected in this draft. We're looking at maybe a late second round pick to a prospect that can be, we're looking at a late second round pick. Now, this type of prospect in this range can be moved based on team needs, international declarations, guard versus big balance in the class, and whether the team needs front court depth. Now, again, the best case scenario, we're talking about a late second round pick, but more than likely, it could end up being a maybe a third round pick, and possibly a cap invite to training camp to compete. Now, if she goes undrafted and goes to camp, that's not a knock on her game. It's just the reality of how hard it is to get and stick into the WNBA, especially for traditional forwards. Now, for the Mystics, she feels more like a late round flyer, maybe a camp body, developmental depth at best. Now, let's look at the player comps. Who does she kind of match up to? Let's say Aaliyah Edwards to a degree. And let's be clear, she's not the athlete that Aaliyah Edwards is. However, there are still some comps. 6'3" forwards that still can give you some interior scoring, rebounding, is active, and has a feel for passing. That sounds about right. Sounds about right. However, Aaliyah Edwards, I would say, is a better perimeter shooter, is more consistent with that, and the shot creation. So, there are some similarities. But again, VanSlooten is not viewed as the same. Again, it's not viewed as the same caliber of player. But there could be some value there. So another comp would be Maisha Hines-Allen. That could make more sense to a lot of people. So if you're looking at VanSlooten, due to her strength and being skilled at the forward position, that can score from the mid post, rebound, pass a little bit, all those things, you're looking at Maisha Hines-Allen without the threat of being a three-point shooter. Because Maisha can hit them from time to time. Now, again, when we're looking at the Washington Mystics, let's talk about the fit. Does she fit what we're trying to do? Because, we're here to talk about the Mystics. So, again, one of the questions from earlier, would Grace VanSlooten make sense for Washington? We're going to run through it. We're going to see if it makes sense. Now, this can be some reasons why she could make sense. She fits the rebuild timeline because, again, the Mystics are looking for core young players. Because we have a young core of Sonia Citron, Kiki Arifin, and when Georgia Amore comes back, I'm sure she's going to be added into the mix. And we also got Shakira Austin, if she decides to come back. Now, Grace VanSlooten fits the age and the developmental arc. But does she fit the scheme of what we're trying to do? Okay, so she could be a young front court piece that comes off of the bench and provides some minutes. Even with her having limited minutes based on the roster that we can have, she still will most likely be productive in that time. So, because that's what she's proven throughout her whole college career. She's just productive. And with her physicality and being able to score from the second unit, the Washington Mystics, can use a definite backup four that can do those different things. And she can help stabilize the bench. So there is an opportunity. There is some value. And the cost to acquire her services will be low. And of course, that is important because if she's available later or invited to camp, again, the risk is low. I think that's a good conversation. But now let's talk about why she may not be a good fit or the best fit. This is the other side of the coin. Now, again, the front court is going to be crowded. And with that being said, that's going to become a big issue for VanSlooten if she is considered for the team. We've already invested in the front court when we got Kiki Irfin, and potentially a bigger investment could be coming with Shakir Austin. Okay, so now that's another forward added to the mix with VanSlooten, and I'm not sure it's going to be enough for her to be there. But if we do get a developmental side to the roster, she could be a valuable piece. But we'll see. Now, again, with VanSlooten's archetype, she can solve a few problems because she's productive, but she doesn't have unique skills, and Mystics clearly lack that. So we'll see if she's tough enough, skilled enough, and ready to come to the team. We'll see. Now, with rosters being so tight and with how brutal it can be to make a WNBA team, it can be an upward battle for Grace VanSlooten to make it. But again, she's a solid forward, and she could add depth to the team. So we'll see if she is a good fit. You know, again, she can be a good late round pick or a good player that can come and be invited to camp to see if she can make it. We'll see. She's not going to be a future star. She's not a core building block, but potentially when it comes to depth, that can be a role that sits right there for her. So the bottom line, she's productive, experienced, a physical 6'3" forward who has had a great college resume. She can score inside. She rebounds. She's a willing passer when needed. And she's showing real production in power conferences against players that definitely should be making it to the WNBA. But the question is she just college good or she could be WNBA good? That's the question. So do this for me. In the comments, let me know if you feel Grace VanSlooten will get drafted by the WNBA. I'm sorry, by the Washington Mystics. Or will she get invited to camp? Or will she have to take another route? Let me know. Because, again, she's productive. She's battle-tested. And that's value that can be used, or value that can be good consideration points for her to make it to the Mystics. But we'll see. Now, I appreciate everybody for tapping in. Do me another favor. Like the video. Subscribe to the channel. Turn on those notifications because we got a whole lot more WNBA 2026 coverage to go through. And we're going to be breaking down how these prospects fit with the Washington Mystics. This is your host again, Delano, your trusted voice for Washington Mystic content. And we'll be right back at y'all tomorrow. We got some more stuff. Trust and believe me. Well, on that note, I'm out of here. Gone.